front of yeah.
What a start that is. We're live and you're picking up the microphone.
Look, it's not often we do this live. You know, by the magic of technology, every time we've gone live on Twitter, it's a pre-record. So, you know, people be watching it thinking it's live, but in reality, we're all eating our dinner or on the train or something. Or in Tom's case, and I still never understand the time difference. Tom, how's things there tomorrow in Australia? You've got very early for this. Do you want to tell the viewers and listeners what time it is over in Australia?
Yeah, I got up at 4:45 a.m. for this because I'm a professional. I wanted to be about half hour before because I was conscious last time I did a podcast at this time in the morning. I looked and felt like a bag of shit. And I got up yesterday to watch the game as well. So I've had two 4:30 a.m. starts over the last 2 days. That's the commitment I have to this pod. I regret it, but that's the commitment I
have. Ben, you know, we're at the normal time of 8:15. Did you get up early, especially to watch the game yesterday, Ben?
No, I was impressed I stayed awake because I was absolutely knackered. So yeah, I didn't go to the stadium last night. I watched it at home. Like you, migraine, all of that, just knackered. So I sacrificed 2, blood, sweat, and tears. To get through.
Before we get started about the Millwall game, Tom, the Rasping Dog, Howell Bennett himself, Benefactor on Twitter, said he was quite disappointed with you in the last podcast because you stopped calling Millwall Midfield. So I don't know if you want to apologise to him for that. He said you were so angry that you overlooked the correct pronunciation of Midfield.
I'm really disappointed in myself. I thought little things would slip when I moved, but I didn't think it'd be Midfield. And I am quite hurt by that. Yeah, I can only apologise. That is poor form from me. God, that really rattled me this time in the morning. If you two could take over for the rest of it, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. We've already got one comment on YouTube. Adam James, here we go. Positive pod. Barry Mack, before we got started, said he's disappointed we didn't call ourselves View from the Winnian. And somebody else said, I think it was Perry's fan account, said he doesn't believe that a win calls for an emergency pod. Well, we beg to differ. And also, we pay for a blue tick on Twitter now, so we've got to make it work. Otherwise, we're not getting any money from it. So here we are, recording last night.
Shameless shills for the coin. That's all we are.
That's what we like, Jermaine Genus. Coin.
That's what
we care about. And paying Elon Musk's weird ways. But there we go. That's what we've got to do to kind of get things going here. But we're here, and Cardiff won yesterday, 1-0. We've upped our record. We were in the lead on the weekend for about 20 minutes. Yesterday, we've set a new record for the season. We were in the lead for around 51 minutes, which is absolutely fantastic. I think the club deserves a round of applause for that. So here we go. Ben, a 1-0 win over Millwall. Long time coming, wasn't it?
It was, and it was quite delightful, wasn't it? I'll be honest, the first 20 minutes were dire, and we were lucky not to be one behind within 40 seconds. But after the first 20 minutes, I thought we controlled every aspect of that game and actually looked like a half-decent side. That's not to say Millwall weren't terrible, because they really, really were. It was nice to see Neil Harris doing Cardiff City, his old club, a favour and really, really shitting the bed with that performance. But we'll take anything we can because we needed it.
Well, he said in the post-match press conference that he thinks Vincent Tan is a top man, but I think he was just helping him out, frankly. So all praise to Neil Harris. I think we should get him back as manager. That's a half-serious suggestion. Tom, you watched the game yesterday from Australia. Did it look different to you? Did it feel different as a performance? Did it feel like we were a slightly better team all of a sudden?
Yeah, it felt controlled. I think that was the most promising thing. I thought, there's certain stand-up performances across the park, but some of it was in our defence, which hasn't been the case over the last few weeks. You know, the likes of Gutas was absolutely solid. Mm-hmm. Joel Bagan was absolutely brilliant as well, which, I've been quite critical of him over the past, but he was solid as well. And I think it's been a long time since we've seen a performance like that at home, where we thoroughly deserved the win, and we could have scored more. I don't think we've said that for a long, long time, that we left goals out there, but we did leave goals out there. We had a shaky moment in the last few seconds with that back heel from Duncan Watmore, but you've got to have a couple of moments. I need to keep you on your toes. But I thought we were the better team from almost at the start to the end of the game. So yeah, thoroughly deserved 3 points.
Ben, let's talk about someone that Tom mentioned there. We've got a comment from YouTube. Owen Richard said, "Why is Gutas so sexy?" It's something I've thought about for the last season or so. He's got a fantastic beard, lovely hair, and he rolls his socks down. He's got great legs. But he showed last night really why he is still a player for us, isn't he? He came back in, and from the start, he was controlled. He was barking orders to the rest of the team, and he showed why he is still an asset in that defence.
Yeah, look, there's a reason why the only thread post I've put out is a tribute to how good-looking Gutas is. Very, very handsome man that I've mentioned on a very, very neglected platform. But yeah,
on Threads.
Yeah,
go on Facebook and do that.
It's the only place I've done it is Threads. Like, it's the only thing I've put on Threads that week. Everyone went for it, but yeah. But yeah, like, he was just class. That's the best he's been in months. He wasn't as rash diving in. There were still a few moments where he'd love to just do that last minute lunge, but for the most part, he was a lot more composed, and we need more of that because, yeah, Chambers, a few people have said in the comments, Chambers is still a bit ropey, still not quite convinced there, but yeah, that Gutas and Darland as a centre-back pairing is a lovely pairing in this division.
Handsome boys as well. Yeah, looking at the stats yesterday for Gutas, 6 out of 6 aerial duels won, 3 out of 5 ground duels won, 2 tackles successful, 8 clearances, 1 out of 1 successful dribbles. The only stat that really let him down was the long balls. He tried 5, Ben. How many long balls do you think Gutas made?
None.
Spot on indeed. Tom, Lil Salt on the YouTube comment says, "Very good yesterday, but Chambers is awful. Get him gone. Love the pod." There's still a player in Chambers, isn't there, Tom? There's still something there, but he isn't quite hitting the mark at the moment, is he?
No, he hasn't really settled in kind of defensively. I think he's a good ball player, which, like we said last pod, that's what we were trying to do pre-season, and that's what we were excited about with Chambers. And I'm hoping now, hopefully, we calm down a little bit and we start to kind of ease back into hopefully some winning football. He might come out of his shell a little bit and look a little bit less rugby. But yeah, he hasn't hit the ground running like we would have hoped. That's for sure. I think, a bit like you said, Darland's coming back from an ankle injury and stuff like that. There's going to be a little bit of competitiveness to get back in the team in the back line, and hopefully that brings the best out of him as well when you've got a bit of people battling for the shirt.
Yeah, Darland should be back for the Bristol game this weekend, so that's something to look forward to. Reece Jones on Twitter says 90 minutes of Colwell, a proper left-back in Bagan, a youthful, skillful defensive midfielder who can, and the sentence is finished there. So I don't know what he said after that. Ben, you can go to Twitter and have a look for that for me as our esteemed producer there. We've already kind of touched upon Bagan, Ben, but he seemed to really put in a shift yesterday, didn't he? Collins wasn't particularly good at the weekend. We know Collins has struggled since coming back from injury and playing a lot of football last year, but having genuine competition for the place between Bagan and Collins can only be healthy, can't it?
Yeah, and we've sort of, just been sort of quite harsh in the last few months. I mean, some of us are painting him as a serial killer, which I think is a bit uncalled for. But look, if he plays like that, we'll call him. If that's what motivates him, being known as the next Jeffrey Dahmer, then we'll just stick with it, because he was, again, another player that was fantastic last night, and we need someone in that left back because JC's not hit the heights he should have after coming back from a really bad ACL injury. There's been moments where he's been good, but to be honest, we need someone consistently in there playing well, and Bagan on that form can really do it.
Tom, one of the other players we haven't mentioned, obviously came in and played in the middle of the park, was Alex Robertson. I think we've expected the world from Alex Robertson. Obviously, he signed from Man City, has come with a lot of promise. Hasn't really fulfilled that promise yet, but he hasn't played a lot of football. But yesterday felt like a sort of coming of age performance for him in the Cardiff shirt, really, didn't it? He was really solid, really composed, and he looks like a difference maker in the middle of the park. Yeah,
he's got a bit of class about him, and I think we've lacked that sometimes from some of our centre midfielders. We've had workhorses, we've had people who are half decent on the ball. We've had Wintle, but I think we've got in Robertson now. We've got someone who he comes from that Man City school of thought. He's been with the best players around him, and we're only going to benefit from that. And it takes time to bed into a team. We're a basket case most of the time. So coming into this camp, it takes a little bit of time to hit the ground running. We had 7 or 8 new players and stuff like that. And he's a young lad still. you've got to let people bed into a new job. I keep comparing this, like football is like, it is a new job. Like in the same way, like we try to bed in to move into a new company or a new role. It does take time, and we'll only benefit it by the end of the season. Because I wouldn't be surprised if we turn around in 35 games time and he's our player of the season. I think he's that type of player who can really make an impact.
Ben, let's talk about our player of the season from last year and the season before, Perry NG. Look, someone, what's his name? Tomos Inio N84821 on Twitter says he demands apology for NG. I'm not going to apologise for being critical of NG so far this season. He hasn't lived up to the heights of the last couple of seasons, in particular last season, where he was probably our best player week in, week out and our top scorer. But he showed yesterday really why maybe there was something going on behind the scenes, because all of a sudden his performance was a lot more assured and he's scoring from a set piece again.
Yeah. First of all, I don't give in to demands from cyberbullies, so we'll speak out there. But yeah, look, again, it's going to show it adds more to those. Some of those players really weren't happy with Bullet, were they? You can.
It's quite good to see now, isn't it?
Yeah, you can talk about the right and wrong, who's in the right and the wrong, or whatever with that, but there was clearly issues behind the scenes. And to see Perry back to almost his best, there's still a few moments he had, but getting the goal and sort of having that little bit of bite back about him again was really encouraging to see, because I said, look, he's player of the season the last 2 years running. He's a top quality player. We need him at his best. We need all our players at the best. But when we're in the shit like that, we need him to start stepping up to really prove that he's worthy. Even if he carries on playing like till January and finally gets his move to the Premier League, we need that old Perry NG back.
Yeah. Reece Jones finished off his comment in the replies. He said, a youthful, skillful defensive midfielder who can actually pass in Robertson. No shackles on Tanner, making him pass backwards. And most important, the comments finished again. So I think you're going to have to come back and finish off the rest of the comment, Reece. But I think NG was on FOTMob rated 8.0 as one of our men of the match. Tom, the other player who got 8.0 was everyone's favourite midfielder who hasn't really got a chant, but has a chant now, Joe Ralls. Obviously, he came up with the corner for the goal. Look, people can say what they want about Joe Ralls. They can say maybe he's not Alex Robertson, he's not the player we want going forward. But on a night like last night, he's exactly the player you need, isn't he, Joe Ralls? He put the cross in for Perry NG's goal. He gives it the big one to the crowd. He comes in with the passion. And that's why you can't really drop him, can you?
Yeah, in a moment when you're losing games like that, you need someone steady in there, and that's what Joe Ralls is. The man who's got more pronunciations of his name by Ben than he has got a chance. But it's good to see him. Like he's got a wicked set piece on him as well. Like he's got stuff in his armory that we really benefit from. We score a lot of headers over the last couple of seasons, but that's because we've had good balls put in the box by the likes of Joe Ralls. So he's a really Ralls, yeah, big Joey, but he's been around a long time, and to see him, it means something to him. We scored that goal. You could see what it meant to him to kind of get that goal. And I think that's what we were kind of talking about the last couple of weeks, was that kind of not being asked by the players when we conceded and trudging back to the halfway line. But you could see that goal meant a lot, especially to the players who've been there a few seasons, NG, Ralls, and that's what he does. He does galvanise the team. He may not be the loudest character, but he does lead by example. And, he's the type of player I'd want to run through a brick wall for. But he has that look about him. He doesn't really have to say anything to kind of rile you up. And you need the balance of having someone like that. If you're bringing in Colwell and Tanner and stuff, you need that little bit of balance. We can't go all out attack, otherwise you have another Hull. So I think he's the ideal person to be bringing in against Millwall. So
good pronunciation.
Thank you. But yeah, I thought he was great.
Could we add another pronunciation to Joe Ralls' name? Because he's got two L's in there as well. Could it be Rash?
I can't keep up. I have to do it for every word, and I think it really may affect my work. I'll be starting doing it about the office. I'll be confusing people, and I'll be unemployed apart from this lovely podcast before we know it. So I think I'll stick with the one for now.
None of us are employed here. DJ on Twitter says we've given the league a few games head start. It's okay. Ty Jordan, all the way from Canada. The boys are live with 4 exclamation marks. Where else we got to? Lane and McCafferty. Gutas is much better as a right-sided centre-back. Spot on. Ben, is that just part of the problem we've seen so far this season, is putting square pegs in round holes? Obviously, Gutas was playing the majority at the left-sided last year. We were critical of him because he wasn't very good, particularly with the ball at his feet from there. But as soon as you put him back in the position he should be, he puts in a performance like that, doesn't he?
Yeah, I don't think it's a coincidence, is it? The pairing with him and Nat Phillips last year towards the end, when he was on the right, was much better, much more solid. Yeah. He's just shit with his left, isn't he? Can totally understand that. I'm
we
sure
all are. Yeah.
And I'm left-footed, so...
Oh, I don't know. Maybe you could play it left-sided centre-half. Anyone who's watching this and wants to know the Swansea score, Drew number 2 on YouTube has said, class Swansea own goal. They are 1-0 down. Timon with the own goal for Sheffield United. Kiefer Moore still not scoring for Sheffield United, so good job we didn't sign him. Evan James, Tom, what's that?
Has he not scored from yet?
I don't think so. I could be wrong though. I'm wrong about a lot of things. Evan James says, thanks Tom for not ruining the surprise 12 hours early of us scoring a goal. So Tom, you've had a full 12 hours with this result. Obviously you were ahead of everyone else. Has it really settled in yet that we're going to win the league?
Yeah, it has settled in. You know, I've been confident from the start of the season that we'd be up at least 4th. So, you know, it's just normal service resumed. And like Ben said earlier, we've just given everyone else a head start. But like all jokes aside with this, like we can, I'll go in very Frank Lampard then. But it's a serious business. But, you know, it doesn't take a lot in this league. I think Gabadon said it as well on BBC. Like you put a run together and you can fly up the league table. It's a massive result. You know, just as a settler, because before you know it, we could be mid-table. A couple of more positive results. I mentioned it about 40 times in the last pod. Like these were the big 4 games. We've got a winnable run here, and that's part 1 of the 4 done now. And it was the nature of the performance as well. Just the fact we were solid, the clean sheet. You know, some of our favourite players coming in and playing well. Like we've hardly mentioned him so far. I'm sure we will in Colwell. Like you can see the shoots now. You can see what we're trying to do a little bit. I know it's only 1 game, but we've got the ideal fixture run now to kind of capitalise on that. And you know, look at the likes of Coventry. I think they were absolutely almost done and dusted. And the other way, like you've had Hull in seasons in the past who were 1st or 2nd and then dropped all the way down to the relegation zone. And I'm sure there's a few teams up the top. I still think the likes of Blackburn might fall off and things like that. So I think I'm glad we've got the win now. I think any longer and it would have been real panic stations, but we're back in the mix now. There's no doubt about it.
Adam Tibbs in the comments says, I'm sure Kiefer got 1 in the first couple of games. You are correct. He scored against QPR, I think, in the 2nd game of the season, but he hasn't scored since. So my point remains that I'm glad we didn't sign him. Let's talk about Colwell and Tanner, Ben. Obviously, we've been calling for Colwell to start games this season. Ramsey being out of the squad has obviously given him the impetus and the opportunity to get in the team. And when he plays with Tanner, we saw it at the Swansea away game. There are moments where Tanner and Colwell link up like it's almost telepathic in the way they play. And we saw that again last night, didn't we? Obviously, Tanner, there's still elements of him being raw, but when they play together, they just give us something that we don't have, which is quick attack, pace down the wings, and that just bombing forward kind of spirit that we've lacked so far this season.
Yeah, sometimes you've just got to be direct, and both of those are. I was mentioning friend of the pod, Hugh Kinsey, last night. And I was just saying, the first half, I was a bit frustrated with Colwell. I think he had lots of the ball, but didn't really do much with it. Didn't really look to make much happen. Second half, he started bringing Tanner into the game more. And that's definitely when we started looking a lot more attacking. And that's what we need from him. He's much more. It's a much more attack-threatening squad when he gets on the ball and actually looks to make stuff happen.
Argyle Life, Aaron Hocking says, "Are you actually live or fake live?" We're actually live, Aaron. I can't say the same thing. Right? I know. I can see it as well. Paul Through says Neil Alexander has let himself go a bit. I would hope so. He's been retired for a few years. But I mean, I'm sat here doing this for your entertainment, Paul Through.
That's class.
Leave it.
I love the internet. You just get strangers abusing you.
Yeah, I know. And I'm putting myself out there for this. I'm paying for this privilege, actually, because I'm paying for StreamYard. I'm paying £11 a month for Twitter. Is there anything else to discuss on the Millwall game last night? Tom, El Ghazi started again yesterday. FOTMob had him as our lowest rated player with 6.1. Are you concerned that we've signed El Ghazi for obviously probably quite a high salary? He's come in and he's just quite not getting into it yet, or are you not willing to write him off so soon?
Oh yeah, get out of my club. Disgusting, really. No, again, like he hasn't played a lot of football at all coming into this season, and Bullet, RIP, when he was here, said that it was going to take him a bit of time to warm back into it and to get him up to where he was, the standards he's had in the past. And probably the only reason he's getting as much game time as he is at the moment is because panic set in a little bit. He's got a bit of quality about him. So I'm again the same as Robertson. I'm sure as we get through the season, the games start coming a bit thicker and faster. When the midweeks are starting to come in now, we'll see him come in and out, and we'll see the best from him. We haven't seen the best of anyone over the last 8 games, really. So we can't really single him out as like a main problem or anything like that.
You can,
but I'm sure. Okay, we can and we will get him out of my club. But I'm sure we'll see that flashes of brilliance that he's that we've seen him in a higher level than us in the past, showing through over the next few fixtures.
One player we probably haven't seen the best of, and we won't see the best of, Ben. Yaku Mete came off the bench. I'm trying to find the comment now. Oh, here it is from John T.M. Williams. Still a bit wary as Millwall were poor. Why didn't Mete chase down the centre-back towards the end of the game? He just gave up. Could have cost us. Not sure if his attitude is right. He scored a few goals for us, hasn't he, Ben Mete? But he always scored against us, so I understand why we signed him, but it's just not quite worked out for him here, has it? And I don't think it's all his fault. He has been played in multiple positions, but for someone that is almost like your archetypal Cardiff footballer, a bit of a brute, a guy who wins everything in the air and will battle for it, he's just not quite got it going here, has he?
And you can tell that with that one chance he had where it sort of threw on goal. Was it Tanner played the ball just a little bit too far in front of him, and he tried to take it at just the wrong time, sort of first time. Yeah. It summed up his time at Cardiff quite perfectly, I think, of just almost, but not quite. I still think he's a decent player. I know we've probably signed him like every year until the year before we signed him. He scored at least 10 goals, and now he's come to us and fallen off a cliff a bit goal-wise. But there's something I still really like about him. I don't know what it is. He works really hard. He's just, like you said, La Brute. It's just not got going from his. He's the sort of player that needs one to go off his arse. And I feel like a decent run then might get a few. But the issue with that is, can he stay fit for a few as well? That's always an issue with him. But I think it's another case of a striker coming to Cardiff and it's just not working out, which is a lot of. It's not just him. So
it's almost every striker, isn't it, really? It's not just him. It was nice to see some old friends off the bench, wasn't it, Tom? Obviously, Mete came on, Renamotta came on, and the elusive Di Turnbull came on with about 90 minutes gone. So he got a couple of minutes in. I mean, Di Turnbull is one of the strangest cases I've seen at Cardiff City in a long time, in the sense that he's someone we actually paid money for in January, which is a rarity in himself. He had some real good flashes last year. I remember the Ipswich game he won. He had a couple of great shots in that game and looked like we'd signed a player, but hasn't featured much this season, obviously through injury. Now that Bullet is gone, is it time that we unleash Di Turnbull from 25 yards?
I'd hope so. I was really excited when we signed him. I don't know why. It was one of those types of signings that I thought, we paid a bit of money for here. There's intent. And we talked about it when he signed. Like, he has got a wicked long-range shot on him. And let's not shy away from it. We don't create many chances. So if you've got someone who can score from distance, that could be quite handy for us. But the way you described it sums it up. It's flashes. And there hasn't been that many flashes either. I think we're putting a lot of hope in a new manager, like that, and unleash the best of some of these players. But it may be the case, because it does seem that Bullet sucked the joy out of a lot of these players by the end of it. And it looked like it sucked the joy out of Di Turnbull as he stepped through the door. So again, I feel like I'm saying the same things. Like, there's quality in there for sure. We've seen it in the past, but perhaps we have just signed players who've passed it. I don't know, but I'm convinced something will come from Di Turnbull. Someone just needs to cheer him up a bit, I think.
Yeah.
Arm around the shoulder. Perhaps we need to, one of us, maybe not one of us, but we need to get someone in just to show him around Cardiff, take it on Techniquest or something, just so you can really, feel like he's part of the community at Cardiff.
What's it, that beach ball in front of the air machine? Everyone loves that.
I'd be performing after that.
The photo everyone gets where it's like the optical illusion where his head's not attached to his body on the table.
Yeah. I think the shadow wall.
Yeah.
Go on, Di, do your goal celebration against the shadow wall. Just don't let him go in a hall of mirrors. You might run into a mirror. Go on, Ben.
I take him par 59, maybe. like that's a good day out. And like the last hole, there's a couple of like dildos on this. You can be a bit giggly with that. It's all a bit of a laugh, in it. That might cheer him up. Yeah, I don't know where else would you take him?
Maybe to an ice hockey match.
Yeah. That's very on brand for you, actually.
Yeah.
You've got dildo ball to ice hockey, and I think that sums us up. So
Sums us up quite neatly, doesn't it? We've had some comments coming in, which we'll get to, but the comments that came from before the pod. David Charles, excellent news. So many good things to talk about. Most of all, a great team performance to keep a clean sheet. Tanner, in particular, shut down any potential threat down his flank. So many other good performances. Long may it continue. Tom, isn't it good that we've improved in goals since Mr. Tickle's gone?
yeah, it's bad that I just felt sorry for him.
I
always feel sorry for keepers. I don't know what it is more than any other player. I was a defender. I was a central defender who was went further back. Yeah, it's because I got overweight and I couldn't be asked to run around. But I wanted to be with the boys, so it was a tough one to kind of like to balance. But it's just there's so much focus on goalkeepers, and there was so much wrong in our team that it's probably not the keeper's fault. But we were conceding so many, and it felt like we weren't making any saves. So I don't think it is much of a coincidence that since he's dropped out, we look a bit more assured. I think over the last few seasons, there's been times where we've been calling for Alnwick to go and goal and give him a chance, and he's largely performed. And it must be so frustrating for him coming in and out of the team constantly, because I don't think he's had runs in the team, but he probably hasn't had a really, really solid run. And I think he's even had injuries and stuff in the past, hasn't he, when he has come into the team. So I think at his best, he is the best keeper we've got there. I just hope he can put a run together and a solid performance over the next few weeks.
But Ben, you could see in his post-match interview, couldn't you, that he was almost as relieved as anyone that we'd won the game.
Yeah, I can't imagine how stressed they've been the last few weeks. It must be absolutely horrible knowing we're just looking at it going, everyone's sort of all they're going on about is it's the worst start in the club's history. It's the worst start, one of the worst starts in championship history. That win must have felt so good just to get that monkey off their back and just the relief. I can't imagine just in that changing room how good it feels. Like in still true Cardiff City style, we won a game and we're still rock bottom of the league. And unless Pompey are getting humped 8-0 by Stoke tonight, we're going to stay bottom of the league.
3-1 so far.
Yeah, as you say, they are losing.
There's a hope.
Only another 5 and we'll be all right. But it's each one of those players I imagine is there. But there's something about Alnwick that I really, or Anik, sorry, that I really like.
Look, just take it from me. Say any player's name however you want. It doesn't matter.
It's just there's a reason when Ralls comes off, he gets handed the armband. There's a lot of respect there. There's something about him, and he also feels like a proper Cardiff City keeper. Like Horvath never looked right in goal. Same with someone like who's in there before him. Etheridge looked right. Smithy's never quite looked right to me. There's a certain profile to a Cardiff City keeper, and for me, Anik just has that profile, just has that characteristics, and I really think he needs to be the number one long term.
Is it just having a nice beard?
No, I don't think it's that, because Di Marshall looked like a Cardiff City keeper, never had a beard, did he? Etheridge,
no, he was quite scruffy at times.
Yeah, that might be it. It's a little bit scruffy and not quite right, like Etheridge. Who was else there last year? Allsop never looked like a Cardiff City keeper to me, and that isn't just because he was a terrible footballer. It just never fit. It's just profile of him just never seemed right.
No, Allsop was never a Cardiff City keeper. And I don't even think he's gone to Birmingham, and I haven't been keeping track, but I don't think he's even playing there. Good news from Portsmouth. Anyone keeping track of the Josh Murphy back-ometer? He's got an assist tonight. Josh Murphy is back. I think there's a good chance he's going to make it here one day still. They're 3-1 down at halftime though. Connor Griffiths says, mad how results can change once you start closing up opponents down, compete for second balls, switch play and actually take a man on. Gutas, Bagan, Robertson, Tanner all stand out to me. Also got a soft spot for Reno as well. Andrew Cullen says, looking forward to a positive pod. Great to meet you at the game last night. Apologies for the excessive handshaking and fangirling. However, can confirm you've got an excellent handshake. The pod is quite literally in safe hands. Keep up the good work. Drew number 2 in the comments on YouTube says also we seem to pick really fun Scottish players, to be fair. Evan James was followed back up and said, El Ghazi right now is every dad after their career-ending injury, but will soon turn good. Paul Through has apologised for calling me fat. And then moving on from the Millwall game, Lil Salt on YouTube has commented very good. Oh, no, I've already read that one. He has commented something else, though. Where has the second comment gone?
Are we worried? No news.
That's the one. Well done, Ben. You can do this. Are we worried? No news about a new manager coming in. Ben, are we?
Not now we've won. I think Neil Harris said it in his post-match conference, actually. I think that win sort of buys us a bit more time not to go out and panic. I feel like what was coming out sort of from the press after the Hull game was, right, the club need to get a new man in very quickly. I think now at least we've got a win and we've scored a goal. It might be a case of, right, perhaps we can take this sort of management team through to the international window and find the right person, because like as much as we need a new manager, we need to get this one right. We say it so often, but this managerial appointment has to be right. And
yeah,
it takes a week longer than it needs than probably now, then I think we have to do it.
Tom, does the fact that the speculation seems to have died down, there seems to be no rumours, there seems to be no new rumours, does that worry you at all? I mean, we've often talked about how much of it is just paper talk. It's bookmakers moving their odds because somebody's put a tenner on it somewhere. But the fact it's gone so quiet, does that worry you?
A little bit. I think when you look at the bookmakers as well, some of the names that are in there are mad because there isn't that many people queuing up for the job. So it does... I think Mr. Blobby at 33-1 was a little bit too far, though. But like, I think like you look like,
on that.
But like, it does worry me that we hadn't had the contingency plan already in place. But now we're at this stage. I think Ben's right in kind of taking time to like wait another week or so. But we shouldn't have been in this position in the first place. Like we haven't known how solid Bullett's position has been for about a year and a half. So you'd think there'd be some names in the hat, like, they'd have some idea. But it does feel like we've got rid of him and then we start looking for the search, and it shouldn't be that way around. But yeah, like Ben said, it's not Russia from now on in. We've got the benefit of an international break, but I'm pretty sure we've said this in the past. And then we're 3 weeks past an international break and we're still looking. So I hope they get their act together pretty soon.
Reece Jones has said, gigs incoming, you heard it here first. Lee Spears says, Neil Alexander on my screen and the heart eyes emoji. If you're listening, pull through. That's how you say nice things about me. I'm going to pin it there for a little bit, just so everyone can enjoy that. It's almost covering Tom's face. Don't need to see that. And Giggsy, different gigs, says, beat the Wurzels on Sunday and we'll be bouncing into the international break. Jeremy Williams says, have you read the minutes of the Dalman Chew call? We're in safe hands. The Common Bluebird says, does anyone think Riza has hit on a new fashion style for managers? It's the got lost on the way back from a pint on the concourse look, which I quite enjoy. And then Paul Through says, jumping in a bit late, but does Riza attire wind anyone else up? He's dressing like Arteta and Pep. So that's the duality of man right there, really. You can't win everyone over. Just some good news, Ben, on the Riza front. This is his highest ever win percentage as a manager at Cheshunt, where he was manager for 49 games, 24.5%. Leyton Orient, a lowly 14.3%. And then Cardiff City, he's now at 50% win percentage. So add that to your quiz, Ben.
It is. But that would make him the highest at the moment.
Yeah, fantastic. No. Straight in at number 1.
Yeah, so.
Lewis Marlowe says yesterday's win still doesn't fill me with hope. What about you guys? Tom, the fact that it's a win should fill us with a little bit of hope, shouldn't it?
Oh, there's more than before when we were on 0 wins. So I'm going to take something from it. I think, it's not time to get carried away, even though I did say we're still going to finish 4th earlier on. But it definitely does give me hope. It's not just the result, it's the performance, the fact that we were solid. Like a team like Millwall, we've struggled against in the past.
Millwall.
Like Millwall, I could see it in your eyes. I knew what I'd done. But like, you've got to win that game. We did win that game. I think, obviously, I'd be a lot more hopeful if we string a few wins together and a sustained bit of decent performance. But if you don't take hope from that, then it's going to be a long, long season. because I think we're going to have to do the Turnbull approach. It might come in flashes for us at times this season, so enjoy it while we've got it.
Die flashes. He makes some really good shirts. Paul True says Bullet had a 2-year contract a few weeks back. Would the club have had a contingency plan? Ben, they might not have had a contingency plan from the start, but it looked like he was going to get sacked for a while, didn't it? So you'd hope that the club was starting to think about who they'd like as their next manager.
You'd hope, but do you have faith in this lot? Because I don't. I feel like part of me thinking they're doing what I've just done there and Googled the latest managers on and going, oh, maybe. Because at the moment, that's about as what I feel like is the only approach they've been doing to any of these manager stuff. Because McCarthy was, when he got appointed, what was he like 1 to 5 on like an hour after Harris was sacked? And I jokingly said it would be funny, and I got it horrifically wrong. So if we're going off that, I'm just looking now. Stephen Schumacher, 9 to 4 with Bet Victor. Freya Alexanderson of Kortig is still 5 to 2. Riza's up to 4 to 1. Depressingly, Mark Hughes is 5 to 1 and James Robury 8 to 1. Nigel Pearson 10 to 1's an outsider that I haven't heard yet, which would, again, no, I'm not going to say the words, but
it would be funny.
It would, wouldn't it?
Especially out of Bristol on Saturday. Barney says, what do you make of Gylfi being named in the Iceland squad? Tom, what do you think of that as the resident Wales fan here?
I wasn't expecting that question. Shit, we're live. I don't like him. I still not really sure what happened to him, and I'm not sure what we can say, especially because we're live. But
you can say anything. You've got to say allegedly. I've learned that. That's definitely the law. That's definitely how it works.
All right, okay. It just feels like a player that'll come back and haunt us. But I don't know. There's not much. This is going to haunt me as well. There's not much in the Iceland squad that worries me going into the international break.
Someone clip
only the kids. No, you can't say that. Allegedly, sorry.
Charlie Griffin says Josh Murphy under Harris or Ojo under McCarthy. Ben, Josh Murphy under Harris or Ojo under McCarthy?
I'm going to go Murphy under Harris. Actually, Ojo was better, wasn't he, for that 3 weeks?
He had a really good run, didn't he, Ojo?
Yeah.
Don't know how he's getting on this season over in Slovenia or Slovakia. Always get those countries confused. Never remember which is which. Right, Ben, it's your favourite game of the weekend this Sunday. Who is it?
It's the Dirty Carrot Crunching Tractor Driving Bastards.
There you go. Lee Johnson isn't involved anymore, but I will give you this opportunity, as it's the only time we can really mention him in relation to Bristol, to, I don't know, have a go at him if you want.
Nah, look, he's not got a job. He's just out in his ass. His missus probably hates him. His kids don't want to speak to him. I hope he's suffering, and we'll just leave it there.
I've heard
the smile on your face.
Yeah,
there's like a glint when he was going through that.
I've heard he's doing very well in his IT recruitment business for middleweight to senior staff at the moment in the Bristol area. He's got some really good software engineering roles if anyone's interested. Tom, Bristol. Now, beating Millwall was the first step ahead of the international break to kind of restoring some confidence in this team. Michlak. We're now going into the Bristol game on Sunday. Obviously, we've had one of the Swansea derbies already, but the Bristol derby sometimes comes with a bit more of an edge. It would do us the world of good to win on Sunday, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah. Would it just... there's something about beating them that kind of galvanizes us. And like you look over the last few seasons, wins against them kind of stick in the memory. You know, the Sol Bamba one, Pilkington scoring over there and stuff like that. Like, they do mean a lot to us. And I think... I said last week, I think we get 2 wins. I'm still fairly confident we'll get a result there. But beating Millwall and Bristol City and then going into an international break is a great momentum builder. I probably would take a draw now, to be honest with you. But I've just got that sneaky feeling we'll do them. I think they're a club who are always in turmoil on the pitch with Bristol City, where they kind of flattered to deceive. They get mentioned in and around, you know, the playoff picture. Then their season's done by like February and March. Yeah. And they're always restless there. And like, we're a restless club, but they're always restless. And they've had very little to shout for apart from the odd cup run here and there. And they're a team that it's the type of game, if we score early, we can rattle their crowd a little bit. And I think that's how you build momentum going into this, is get at them early, play the likes of Colwell, Tanner. And, you know, I think they're there for the taking. And obviously, we were bottom of the league and we deserve to be bottom of the league. The stats show that. But like, we've got that win under our belt now, and this is the perfect springboard to go into the international break and come out firing after it.
Ben, their season is one of contrasts. They beat Millwall earlier in the season 4-3, have lost 3-0 to Derby and Blackburn, beat Oxford at home 2-1, drew with Swansea, but they played quite well against Swansea, have drawn with Coventry. So they're not insurmountable, are they? There is a team there that we could beat.
Yeah, they feel like your classic. Well, they are the classic mid-table championship squad, aren't they? They're performing exactly as you expect. They're in 13th. Are they in positive goal difference? No, minus 4 goal difference.
4.
So exactly what you'd expect with them, really. About neutral there. They're just a nothing club, aren't they? Nothing ever exciting happens with them. Even if they win, that will be the most exciting thing that happens to them for about 10 years. So yeah, look, I just really don't like them. And if we can just a draw there, just wind them up and shithouse them, I'll take it. But yeah, they're not. It's a winnable game. Now we've got that first win. There's the potential, like Tom said, to really build some momentum and just sort of get some good feeling back in the club going into the international break.
I was talking to a friend of the pod, Ryan March, last night about it, and we looked back, and Bristol haven't really had anything riding on the last game of the season for the best part of sort of 10 years. And I think one of them was when they got relegated, one of them was when they got promoted from League One. So that's the kind of football club they are at the moment. Tom, Jeremy Williams on Twitter asks, any changes for Sunday? Obviously, we've talked about the players who performed well last night. There's talk of Jesper Darland coming back in for the game on Saturday. Is there anyone you would take out? Is there anyone you'd bring in?
I'd be tempted to bring Darland in, but it depends how, if he is fully fit. But you've got to reward players for winning a game now. I think we've been chopping and changing. Stuff hasn't really been settling. We've won a game of football, which we haven't done this season. So let's reward the players for doing that. And we won a game of football by controlling the game. So I wouldn't change too much going into it. That's for sure.
Boys, it's on. It's on.
Yeah, Stoke are 5-1 up.
It's 5-1 to Stoke.
Finley Jones with a 5-1 to Stoke. I think that. If we look at the live table,
that's bonkers.
That's wild. I don't think the on FotMob it updates the live table because
they're on minus 10 now.
Yeah, minus 10. So we're 4 goals in it.
But the good news is,
all of 43 minutes. It's only been 10 minutes. They've scored 4 goals.
Yeah, we're no longer the worst defense in the league. We've not conceded.
Come on, that's
progress.
Andrew Phillips on Twitter says Darland for Chambers. Let's pop that comment on the screen because I'm just learning how to do this. Hooray, there it is. Lee Spear says their fans will turn quicker than milk if we go ahead at Ashton Gate. They'll expect to beat us. Being there when we won 6-0 with the old away end with no backs on the seats was peak Cardiff for me. Giggsy says never wanted Stoke to win more. And the Common Bluebird says Charlton have lost 3 in a row since Nathan Jones said how much he wanted to manage Cardiff. That's the Nathan Jones effect. That's the Cardiff City effect. Ben, I said we'd only do about half an hour on here. We're coming up to 45 minutes. The hour mark's in sight, so let's call it now. Ben, what's the score going to be on Sunday?
1-1.
Oh, that's relatively positive for you. Tom?
3-0.
Who to?
Cardiff.
I think we're going to win 2-1. I'm looking forward to it. I'll be in the away end. Hopefully, the electric cable won't fall down this time as it did last year. I remember leaving the away end, and the electric cable that ran through the roof in the Bristol away end was all over the floor. So hopefully that doesn't happen this time. Otherwise, we'll have to pay £1 on our tickets for the next 2 years. Thank you to everyone who's watched us on YouTube and Twitter tonight. We're going to do this more, I think. Make Tom get up at 5 a.m. in the future again.
Even
Tom,
when there's not been a game. Just do it.
We'll just do it on like a Thursday during the international break. Just check in with you and how you're doing. Will you go back to sleep now, Tom?
No, it's light now. I'm going to work now. So it was 6-1.
6-1.
We have to stay on the pod until it's 8-1. I'm going to work now.
Soccer Saturday, boys.
Oh, are we going to have to do a watch along at some point?
I'm not. No.
I've never seen you two shake your heads more quickly than saying no to a watch along. Lee Spear, thanks again for listening, Lee. He said, enjoyed this, boys. Thanks. We're going to put this out as an audio podcast. I don't know why I'm saying this, because if you listen to it, then you've listened to it. But this will go out as an audio pod. If you want to recap it, we'll try and get this out tonight, maybe tomorrow. It'll end up on our YouTube. You can rewatch it here on Twitter. If you like what we do, kofi.com/the FT Ninian. Ben, bedtime?
Not quite. I might watch Stokes score more goals. This sounds quite fun.
I'm going to do one last check before we go. It is 6-1 at the moment. Thomas Cannon has scored 4, and Sam Gallagher and Andrew Moran with the others. Josh Murphy, funnily enough, hasn't got another assist. We'll be back after the Bristol game on Sunday. See you later. Cheers, boys.
Ta-da.
Cheers.